clapper in front of your face. You're on the air.
Thank you. Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being produced here at Think Twice Radio in the home of the future, also the home of our friend and producer, Richard Wicca. Thank you, Richard. And we also thank our friends at WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative radio station, 91.3 FM. We are so grateful to Buff State. So thank you, WBNY. And when I think about thankfulness, I think about our Indigenous friends. I think about the fact that we are, I think all of us, certainly on Haudenosaunee land, that are at least who are broadcasting this, and Seneca land in particular, and how through violence and trickery, Indigenous peoples have been squished onto smaller and smaller bits, and really attempted genocide to them, and still they are full of thankfulness. They start every day and every event off with thankfulness and thanking for all the people that are there that made it happen, for Mother Earth, for all of the waters, the living waters. Mini-Wachoni, water is life. And for all of the plants, the medicinal and the nutritional, and for the trees, giving us all the air, and for all of the different creatures and the various elements, and in the heavens as well, and certainly to the Creator who gave us the original instructions so that life could continue in this creation. So I would just say for that thankfulness, they say Nyahweh, and then the people say Nyo. So you could say Nyo. Nyahweh?
No.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, and we're here with a very special show. I was just saying, this is very unusual. We almost never, I think this is the first time we've done a show that is about a person. But it's because we only have one Buffalo Poet Laureate, who is the initial Buffalo Poet Laureate, and that is Jillian Hanesworth, right here with us. Hi, Jillian.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so grateful, and also especially with your new endeavor, your new starting off your own organization, or self or entrepreneurship, I should say, right?
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited. I never would have thought that at 29 I'd be a full-time artist. But I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next.
Well, we're not surprised, but we're very grateful to be helping you with the very basic initiations of this new chapter. That's why I called it the new chapter. and then of course we have Reginald Thomas. Hi, Reginald.
Hello.
Reginald, welcome. Of course, Reginald is also, he's a budding young poet and a community activist. That's how I know him, because he's been to different events we've had, including being the winner of the Western New York Peace Center poetry. Well, it wasn't a slam, but anyway, and reading for our annual event. So thank you, Reginald.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored to meet Jillian and be on this show. I'm really happy.
Well, it's going to be a great show. And so we'll start off the way we usually do, which is sort of in this topic, which I'm going to say is largely, well, poetry, social activism, and all the things that we're working on in this topic. What are the values that we want to uphold or remember, that we want to think of? And so, Jillian, I'll pass it off to you first, and we'll just go in the Haudenosaunee way, going counterclockwise. So, thanks.
So honesty is probably what, especially right now in the times that our city is dealing with, in light of the attack on the 14th, which of course I'd like to just acknowledge, in light of the redistricting process, in light of the rebranding and trying to call the east side of Buffalo, East Buffalo, in light of all of that, I think honesty needs to be like the North Star for artists, for activists and organizers, for the common citizen of the city. So yeah, honesty is going to be the big one for me.
That is a huge one. And what would you say? That is huge, and it makes me think of what you said. I won't get off sidetracked onto that, but you've been saying #Buffalo Honest, and there's so many ways in which that's just the thing, and I'm very grateful to you for that. So, and Reginald, what are some value or values that you want to mention?
I would say to co-sign what Jillian said. An important value that needs to be present even more so now is empathy. Like there needs to be a priority to hold space for people that are legitimately angry with the injustices that we continue to see, and the crime on certain demographics that continue to be acted out. So I think people should really honor the fact that we are all legitimately angry and it's not displaced. We have a reason to be upset. Right.
You're so right. And empathy, solidarity, you're so, there's more, there is so much reason for even unreasonable rage. Unreasonable rage would be reasonable because as, we were just talking about Cornel West. It's Cornel West, or so many people have said, about 400 years of being, hated and abused and mistreated, even killed, just all of the just horrendous racism and white supremacy and just assault upon assault. So people have every reason to be angry. I'm angry. I am angry. I have been angry. So thank you for that. I will just add, truth and love is what the usual one I go to. And of course, truth and honesty are just very part and parcel. And love, back to the empathy, is really love for our fellow person, that we're all interrelated and interconnected. So only to that I might add moral integrity and universal solidarity, which is again just a little different, view on that's those same two principles of wisdom and love, of truth and love that we need so desperately. So those are all some great principles, and they're inspiring, and they're what's going to get us where we need to go.
Yeah, and if I can,
please,
I just want to add one more.
Yeah, please do. Yes.
I don't know if we're even going to consider this a value, but I do. Agitation.
Oh.
I think we need to stop surviving and start actually working to organize for change. And I think the only way that we can do that is if we agitate the current systems, the people in power, the people with the money. We need to really agitate. And that's something I try to do with my art, but that's something that I try to practice just as a person. You're just agitating everybody.
Well, agitate. I love that you said that. And I want to tell you that actually the Peace Center, of course, our mission is, the Western New York Peace Center is peace through justice at home and abroad. But we have had, I have to find it. We have it used to be, I can't even remember, it was 4 words, but agitate was definitely one of them. Agitate. Because that is one of the things that I've kept saying lately more and more. I mean, even from the start with Trump, business as usual is not our friend. Business as usual is what's sandbagging us at every turn. Because people just want to make just keep things, easy. So incremental change, which means no change. We're not getting the changes. A lot of times it's slow walking it, or it's just a bunch. I want to say, going to Buffalo Honest and social activism, that's one of the things. So before you were the Poet Laureate, Buffalo's Poet Laureate, an inaugural Poet Laureate, I think I can say. You called yourself a social justice poet. The social justice poet, or a social justice poet. And I want to say, your poetry deals with so many difficult subjects and so beautifully in a way that really can agitate and awaken.
Yeah, so in my mind, my community is what I put first. So I am a poet. Obviously, it's what I love to do, but I really believe that a part of my purpose is to use that as a tool for organizing.
Right.
So there have been times where I've done a poem and people are just like, oh, it's nice. It sounds good. It rhymes. I like the flow. And they're really being educated. There have been times where people came up to me and told me that they never considered the world from that perspective until they heard it presented to them in that way. So I think just like our ancestors used spoken word and storytelling to preserve our history, but also educate our people, that's the job of poets. And we all do it in different ways, but I like to do it through community organizing and social change.
Reginald, what you were going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just so inspired. I'm just listening. It's awesome. Wow.
Well,
I'm in shock.
Well, one thing I offer that is very inspiring to me was when we had the March for Our Lives, and you performed at the March for Our Lives, which was, after the Tops massacre, and and part of a national movement with the Parkland students, that they had an event in D.C. and then they had, hundreds of marches for our lives in the different cities and towns, and it was a hard event to do. First of all, on a very short time frame, and in such a traumatized community at the place, at the site of the trauma. And even that, there was some, it was neighborhood driven to have it there, but that doesn't mean that worked for everybody. And, some of the, victims, or, it was very emotional. I know a lot of people who came there, Black people who came there, who had not been at the site since the massacre. But anyway, and yet there was a lot more white people than you would ever expect, especially since we weren't really marketing it necessarily to white people. And in fact, if anything, the contrary is the fact of it. But also we just wanted people to come who want to come on this issue about gun control. It doesn't mean that racism and rampant, white supremacy wasn't an issue. Anyway, I'm going on too long, but my point is, when you got up there, and this is a, diverse crowd but with a majority white crowd in this very Black neighborhood, and you said, let's be Buffalo honest. And you said, how many people? Is this the first time you've been to this neighborhood? And then quite a lot of people raised their hands, and you said, we need you to come back. We need you to come here and shop here and be here and, be with us. And it was so moving and so important. I felt like that was what a gift that was, to have you saying that to people there.
Yeah, and I've been saying it. I think I did an interview and they were asking about what I think is community investments, artistic community investments. So we talked, of course, about the Freedom Wall, and the interviewer, he wasn't being facetious or rude. We were having a conversation. I just can't remember all the details of it. And then he asked, well, if you want the Freedom Wall to be seen by more diverse people, why isn't it at Canal Side? Ooh. And I had to let him know that we need to place the same value on the east side of Buffalo as we do downtown, the neighborhoods that we see the money get spent, right? Because you always know somebody's legislative or community priorities by how they spend their money.
Right.
And so it's not a secret that from a city perspective, there has been no advancement on the east side of Buffalo. It's proven that there has been no advancement in almost 30 years. I'm 29. So that means in my entire life, we have either stood still or taken small steps backwards. So I do think it's important to point out that Buffalo can't be strong if Buffalo is segregated. Like that segregation is a sign of weakness. The fact that someone can Google what zip code in New York State has the highest level of Black people, and outside of New York City, you're going to get 14208, which is Jefferson, is a sign of weakness. Like it's a sign of divestment in some communities while you're investing in other communities. So we don't want our communities, of course, like gentrified, but we need people to understand that the same value that we see in our communities, you can see, you just got to come.
Right.
Like you stop being a part of the problem and start actually witnessing the beauty of our community for yourself so that you can incorporate it into Buffalo. Because right now, every side of Buffalo is its own Buffalo.
Right.
So we're going to really come together and stop, with the slogans and the pseudo change. We got to break down some barriers, and that means I should feel safe and comfortable going into South Buffalo, which I do not right now.
Right.
And someone from North Buffalo should be able to come to Tops on Jefferson or to the Freedom Wall or to Ujima Theater. Like they should be able to venture outside of North Buffalo, Elmwood Village, Allentown, Hamburg, downtown. Like, no, I don't like that.
No, it's so needed, so important. Do you, Reginald? So have you, you've seen the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's extremely segregated. They pick and choose where to invest.
Right.
So I noticed that not only Buffalo, but New York City, like there's so many places being gentrified, so many people that are being forced out of their comfort, their roots, they're being whitewashed. And I heard about the redlining thing with Evans Bank too. That is not cool. That's disgraceful.
Well,
and investing in a community means investing in the people that reside in that community. It doesn't mean give them community things to make other people come and the people that are there leave. So I think sometimes we have a skewed idea of what community investment means, because you can't invest in the East Side if you're not investing in the people who are rooted in the East Side.
Right. And, I will just add, the thing I've often thought about is, or often means actually, since I only had this realization when after the massacre, and then all our politicians got up there and said, City of Good Neighbors, didn't come from here, he's from out there, City of Good Neighbors. And then I was like, dawned on me, what does it mean, City of Good Neighbors? My neighbors are white. Now, your neighbors are Black, right? And your neighbors are Black, right? Am I right? Right.
Yeah, I'm in a somewhat diverse community, but yeah.
Okay,
Black,
so
Hispanic,
right,
African, yeah.
But there's some integration, and it's happening. I would say it is not, 100%, but it's still far from where it needs to be a healthy community. Back to what you said, about comfort and integration, really, for the strengthening that makes. And that it is a challenge to figure out how to really accomplish that without displacing people at all. So how to really integrate a neighborhood, not to try and get people to move, certainly not to price people out,
Right.
But there are still ways when there's tiered, development where, there's fairness in the pricing of the different apartments or something for a new.
Yeah, and I want to say two things.
Sure.
Number one, we got to move away from affordable housing and start making people, giving people a living wage so that they can just have housing and not affordable housing.
Absolutely.
And then number two, I don't even think the issue is necessarily having white people move into our neighborhoods, right? I think it's being able to have our own cultural identity without being this completely separate part of Buffalo. So coming into our communities could be coming to experience the art. It could be coming to events. It could be, moving in, but again, not at the risk of pushing someone else out.
Right.
So I think we have to find a really healthy balance and be really careful, because what we don't want is, so I went to Fredonia College, 45 minutes away from Buffalo. And the one thing that I experienced my entire 4 years on that campus was constant culture shock. Because I went from being in a community where everybody looks like me. I grew up on Kensington and Bailey.
Right.
So from going somewhere where everybody looks like me to where no one looks like me, no one understands me, no one's willing to understand me. They just want to do them and let me do me. And that's what we don't want. We don't want culture shock when we walk outside of our own doors. So I do think we have to we got to teeter between those two ideas. But and I think, like I said, that can happen through experiences, through cultural experiences, and not necessarily solely through moving into all of our neighborhoods.
Well, and actually that's where, as you said, as you so rightly said, for people to come in and experience the neighborhood and experience the, and enjoy and appreciate the beauty that is there to offer, and spending the money there too.
Right.
Fill up your car. So I've started making a point of filling my car up on the east side. Right now, I think I feel a little bad for where I used to also patronize, that I know let's never go there anymore, because they certainly could use. And you want to help people everywhere and anywhere as you can, but I have felt like that's much more of a priority to me right now, and that the community really needs it. And it was what you said, taking that to heart of what does that mean. So, and I'm going to say I'm a person who has spent quite a bit of time over there, but mostly at the Meriwether Library. Of course, so I feel like that for a lot of people, the Meriwether is just a real treasure, which brings me to the point of, the history. We've been doing a lot lately about the history of Buffalo, and the history being, actually we did a talking piece show called Racism and Resilience, Black History in Buffalo, right? And because that is the epitome of it. So there is a lot of racism here. It's not unique to here, but it's certainly here. We have our own hate groups and everything else, so I can't say ours, but there are hate groups around us. But also with all the segregation, there's also the strength of the Niagara movement, which resulted in the NAACP, all the Underground Railroad before that, and, the Colored Musicians Club, and the vibrancy of the Black community here in Buffalo. The biggest Juneteenth, not big. It might have been the biggest this year, but it's been like the second or third biggest. And Kwanzaa, same thing, because of the strength of the Black community.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the Black community is strong. I feel like historically we've just never had a choice. I feel like Black communities, and not just Black communities, but communities of color.
Right, absolutely.
People who are Black, who fall under the LGBTQIA spectrum, who, especially like Black transgender women, have just been perpetually surviving since we were brought here. Since our ancestors were brought to this country. So I try to be really careful when it comes to like celebrating our strength, because I don't want to normalize the reasons why we have to be strong. Because I think that's when we kind of switch over to adapt, from changing it to adapting it. And that was the reason behind the Buffalo Honest hashtag as a pushback to the Buffalo Strong.
Right.
Because being strong and being honest is the difference between enduring something and changing it. So, yeah.
Well, the changing it is so critical. And actually now, I think, you brought it up, or I wouldn't have brought it up, about the reapportionment and the districting, new districting, because that is a very hot topic and it's very current. So, our Common Council people should know. What I said, actually, recently, first of all, our city, Buffalo, has done a magnificent job of all the research and laying out the facts of the plan that has been proposed by Common Council and their little committee of citizens, who met a couple times, and I don't know what their instructions were, but what they ended up proposing was a plan that continues to be a bunch of gerrymandering that results in a city that is not majority white to end up having a majority of white people in a majority of districts. And as I said, when I just spoke in that press conference, that is a racist plan. Mm-hmm. It is. So no matter what, if they say, well, it was already like that, yes, it was already like that. So time's up. It was
right, like Black people were slaves. Like the amendments exist. When I looked at the map that they had before that were slightly tweaked and being proposed again. Right. One of the things that stood out the most, not only to me, but even when I shared it on my Instagram, was Fillmore District, right? Right. And how Allentown is in Fillmore District. And it's like there are no shared values culturally between Fillmore and Allentown. And then even when you look at Allentown right now, half of the street is shut down because they're repaving the street, fixing things. And then you go to Fillmore and you have speed bumps and then potholes. So it's just like, how is this working? Like why are y'all doing this? Like, just make it make sense. One of the things I proposed, I was on the PPG radio show yesterday. Oh, good. And one of the things I would really love to see is a debate or some sort of moderated conversation between a couple representatives from the Common Council and the committee and our city, and help the people of the city understand the difference between these two maps, explain why it looks like this, like actually make it make sense, because it does not make sense right now. Right. Or if it does make sense, then that's even worse, because it makes sense for white supremacy. That's where it makes sense if you're trying to put the white people in the driver's seat, even though the white people are not a majority in the city of Buffalo. So if I could just say it that plain. But anyway, I'm glad you brought that up. So when we think about social justice, then and back to activism. You mentioned agitation, which activism doesn't have to be agitation, but it very often is. In a general way, it is, because it's about shaking things up and, working for change. So if you're going to work for change, there have to be changes. That means disturbing the status quo or changing the status quo. Yeah. And I mean, again, disturbing the status quo is something that we just have no choice to do, because the status quo has never worked for Black people. Exactly. And it's always crazy to think that like so many of our city officials are Black men, right? So that it means that they're still navigating these same systems that we're navigating. But there's a privilege in that, Right. If I'm driving down the street and get pulled over and accused of stealing my own car that I'm driving, that's registered to my name, which has happened, that's not something that a council member has to worry about happening to them. Even if they get pulled over, once the police officer sees who it is, they might, because we know how it goes, they might be more likely to chill out, they have the authority to call that officer's boss and the normal person doesn't. So I think there is some privilege in the positions of authority they hold, even though they're still navigating these same systems. And like you said earlier, they didn't create these problems, they inherited them.
Right.
But once you inherit the problem, you have the option of finding a solution or maintaining the status quo. And it seems like either the choice is to maintain the status quo, or no one really knows how to make any change, because literally, especially on the east side of Buffalo, nothing has changed. Nothing.
Reginald, have you seen anything change? I know you're a little younger.
Yeah, I'm still fairly new to the city of Buffalo, but I do know, like, based off of the activists that I surrounded myself up with and what I've heard, there hasn't really been any change because of the way they choose to invest in certain parts of the city and neglect other parts of the city.
Right.
There's still there's still the same segregated and disenfranchised communities in the same places, from what I'm hearing. It's like the same shit that she's saying. It's universal. It shouldn't be normalized, like Jillian is saying. There needs to be some proposed change and there needs to be some agitation.
Right. Well,
and not just proposed change, but like, give me a timeline. Tell me when you're going to start and tell me when you're going to finish. Like, if somebody comes to your house and they're building you a pool, you're not just going to give them infinite time to build a pool. You want to know how long it's going to take you. Like, am I going to be able to get in the pool before it gets cold? Like, can I have a Labor Day party? Like, you want to know. So I want to know not only what are you going to do, but how long is it going to take you to what's the deadline? Because we need accountability, and the people needs to be able to say, you told us that by the end of this year, these issues will be corrected, and they are not. So I want to take it even a step further beyond what you're going to do. And I want to know when you're going to do it, when you're going to start, and when you're going to be done.
So that's really about a plan. And I want to say, it's about having a plan to get it done. And, when I said that their plan is a racist plan, I think I misspoke. I think I used the wrong word, because I think it's a white supremacist plan, because I don't think that it's the racism per se, because it's back to business as usual, maybe more than anything, is people just feel like, tweak, or I want to keep, everything as much the same as possible, especially for the people for whom the status quo is better, or at least acceptable. But it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And we're running, one of the things that's a big driver to me is another thing that Dr. King said is he said there's such a thing as too late. So in so many of our issues, we're losing time all the time. So we just have to get serious about it. So I know that two people are very serious about our two guests right here, or I think I can say all three of us are serious about it. So I'd like to hear some of that part about your new chapter, Jillian, and what you're planning yourself, and some of the things that you're working on.
Yeah, so of course I'm writing and kind of just keep up with the amount of poems that I have to write, booking different events. I just had a poem published in Buffalo Magazine called Unanswered Questions. So I'll be reading that poem at Fitz Books on the 14th. At 6, there's going to be me and a few other poets. So that's a free event. There's going to be like refreshments there and just open to the community. I'll also be having a full reading at Burning Books on September 1st. I'll be giving a lecture at the Chautauqua Institution in August on creating a place for human thriving. So yeah, I just have a lot of things like that coming up. I'm also, of course, running Buffalo Books. Just about ready to start cementing some of these library boxes. There will be one on Jefferson, right outside of the M&T Bank, across the street from the Jefferson Utica Plaza, and just all over the East Side. We'll have about 30 libraries around the East Side by the end of the summer. And then once I'm good on the East Side for now, I'll be focusing on Riverside and the West Side.
Sure.
So just, raising money and trying to handle all the logistics. But right now I'm adjusting to the amount of freedom I have without having like a 9 to 5 or like a supervisor.
Right.
Just making sure that I don't stay up too late and wake up late.
Sure.
Trying to keep myself on like a regulated schedule. So I kind of use the gym as like my anchor. Like I gotta get to the gym by 11.
Sure.
So whether that means I have to wake up early to respond to emails or whatever.
Right.
Just trying to figure out ways to keep some consistency and discipline while I kind of start this new part of my life.
Well, you have shown a lot of discipline up to this point, just to get yourself to the point that you have. And I want to just say, I was telling Reginald about your book. Now you have 2 books, isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've never even seen your first book. Is that the first one, right?
Yeah, the first one is For the Culture.
Do you have them both? Can you pick them up and show people, or no?
Where can I get it? I want to buy it.
Yeah, we want to know where to get them and where to get For the Culture.
Yeah, For the Culture is in that pile. Yeah, so they're both on Amazon.
Right.
I'm working on in the books, like.
Yeah, we need other ways to get them besides Amazon, though. I don't deal with Amazon myself.
The Revolution Will Rhyme, you can find that at Fitz Bookstore.
Yay.
You can potentially, so it's been sold out a lot of places, but I am working, I'm waiting for a new shipment so I can get all of them.
Wonderful.
But Zawadi Books, Dog Ears, they'll be at Burning Books starting September 1st.
All
so Black Monarchy, you can buy books. So yeah, they're definitely available locally. And then sometimes when I perform, I have books with me. So
and
I can
For the Culture, is that most of those places too, do you think? Or
For
not
the
really?
Culture right now is just on Amazon. This is For the Culture.
Oh, wow. It's so pretty.
Yes.
Thank you. So this painting was an adaptation of, I don't know if you watched the show Good Times.
Yes.
But there's this painting of a bunch of like Black people like dancing.
Right.
And I have a friend named Tyshawn Tyson who created that painting in a more modern way.
Right.
So that's what the book cover is. Right now, this book is only available on Amazon, but I can get some copies to put in local places.
Yes.
I have one poem that was inspired by the book Nobody, written by Mark Lamont Hill, and he was able to sign that page for me. And there's also like art throughout the book.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love that show.
That's For the Culture.
Yes. Well,
I'll get some copies.
I'm going to rave about, first of all, The Revolution Will Rhyme, because first of all, I feel a special joy in that, as we were saying, with Cornell, Dr. Cornell West, brother Cornell West, his conversation with Jillian. You got the Ultimate Activist Award that year, and you read your poem, The Revolution Will Rhyme. And the conversation that you had with Cornell was just, well, I would almost say to die for, but I would just say to joy for. It was just such a joyous, such an inspiring, such a wonderful conversation. And then the poems in there, oh my God, they're just each one so beautiful, so inspiring, or so thought-provoking, so moving, just so wonderful. You just have such a gift.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Oh, you absolutely do. And so I'm thinking that with all of that now, if you would do a poem for us now, I don't know, we didn't even talk about that, but I bet
I'll do one.
Yeah, do one.
Yeah, please do.
Please.
But I will also like Reginald to do something.
Really?
Yes.
Oh
So
my
I'm
gosh,
calling you out.
Yes, see, I knew she would.
So I'll only do it if you're going to do it too.
I told you she would.
I'm sure, like, I'd be honored to. Yeah.
Okay, yes. All right. Okay. So I will do this is actually my favorite poem in the book. Mm-hmm. It's called The Moon. Mm-hmm. And it is very personal to me. So hopefully once I say it, you'll kind of be able to understand why I identify with the moon. So yeah, this is the moon. Everyone wants to be the sun. Big, bold, and bright enough to burn anyone who dares to soak in its presence. But me, I choose to be the moon. A soft, gentle reminder that even in the darkest times, there is still light, there is still hope. Always present even when unseen, powerful enough to change the tides, yet meek enough to allow itself to be viewed in all its glory without hurting the eyes of its onlookers. For before there was light, there was darkness. And once darkness creeps back into existence, the moon will be there to keep it contained until morning. And no matter how difficult a day full of sunlight gets, it is known that the moon is on its way to serve as a guide back to the light. I choose to be the moon. Coming in peacefully and quietly after being introduced by the setting of the sun serving as an opening act to my awe, cooling the sands and waking up a portion of the world that has not been invited to the sun's festival of fire. You are safe here. I will not allow darkness to intimidate you. I will be the illumination you need to make it through the night, and I will stay during the day, though outshined, making note of who may need me most once the time comes for me to assert my control and make my existence known, for everyone wants to be the sun. Big, bold, and bright enough to burn anyone who dares to soak in its presence, but me, I choose to be the moon.
Oh my God,
wow.
That was amazing.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. That was powerful.
Thank you.
So powerful. Well, you are the moon. You are.
Thank you.
Are. Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. So I was thinking, I don't know if we should have made Reginald go first. But anyway.
No, I'm the opening act.
Yeah, you're the opening act.
I'm your opening act.
You're so sweet. So, Reginald, if you would.
Yeah, sure. Let me, so this poem is also something that's personal to me. I was very angry when I wrote it, but I'm learning to channel my emotions and turn it into art, as Jillian demonstrates. So it's called Emotions. And I'm going to read like some stanzas, like an excerpt. So it goes, if you are unstable, you'll be unable to fathom a healthy table of nourishment for your lost and wounded soul. Caused by years and years of conditioning after continuous brainwashing from people you think have your best interests. Best believe they are just out there as yes men. They'll never truly be your best men and women at your wedding or in life. Best believe they are just there to cause harm and strife. They go with the flow, take it nice and slow. But don't be fooled by their ill intent. They're just there to showboat and try to take control, just to let you know. Decimation of self-esteem here, false proclamations of love there, being said to ensnare without any care, but beware. Get negativity and stunted growth out of your hair. Invest in the same care for you, not just for your hair. All I'm doing now is warning you to clear the air of harmful particles known as chemicals your lungs can't bear. I mean words that affirm the actions of others. It travels straight to your heart. It may seem like beautiful abstract art, but it's nothing more than a poison dart. So, I'm going to stop there.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Yours was amazing.
Very, both of them. Both. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And yours was very beautiful. Beautiful means beautiful and painful. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's what we started off with. You know, anger, all of our emotions, they all have their meaning. They have meaning. They're there for a reason. And they're a message to us, and a message to receive from our own self, but also a message to other people, about the world we live in.
Yeah, I used to be a counselor. And one thing that I used to say all the time to all of my clients is give yourself time to feel your feelings. If you don't feel it, you'll never understand it. So even if that means you got to be sad for a couple, don't stay there.
Right.
Don't be sad forever. Don't be angry forever. But if you need to be angry, be angry. If you need to be sad, be sad. Like give yourself permission to feel every single feeling that presents itself so that you can put a name on it and you can start to understand it.
Right. And actually, one of my teachers said to me, life is like an ocean. So, when you're on the crest of the wave, you feel that you'll always be on the crest of the wave. When you're in the hollow of the wave, you feel like you're always going to be in the hollow of the wave, but you're not. It's going to change and change and change again. Yeah. So they do, change. Sometimes they need a little boost from us to change, or whether we've received the message and doing the things that we need to do, right? And that means individually or collectively, right? Because there's a lot we need to do collectively, but we just have to work together so much with all those values intact as we're doing them that we talked about. One of the things I wanted to mention too, is that how can people, do you have a page or something where people could easily look up where you're going to be next or different things like that? For example, now for those who are hearing this now on July 6th, for those people, you might know that Jillian's going to be at the Wakanda Alliance on Saturday the 9th from noon to 2 at the Matt Urban Center, right? No. No, the King Life Center. Yep. Yeah. King Life Center. Right. Mm-hmm. So
I'm literally my interns here.
Oh, really?
We're working on something right now.
Wow.
So hopefully by the time the night is up, you'll be able to go on my website and see a flyer of all of my July dates. So you'll be able to come to anything. Of course, all of these things are living documents because I could book something tomorrow that I actually do tomorrow.
Oh, sure.
But you'll be able to at least see what's already been pre-booked.
Well, we'll be happy to, promote it or a lot. We retweet you or we, share what you share and, just couldn't be more grateful. You do such a lot. And now I'm going to ask Reginald, do you have some what's a next step for you when you think about what you might want to do with your poetry?
For me, I feel like my overall mission is to be as humanistic as I can be. So if I can create a safe space for people and heal them using my words and allowing them to transmute their pain into art and empower them also, then that would be a really great thing I can do. Because my ultimate mission, I'm a healer and I'm someone that's very empathic and spiritual. So if there's any way I can use my spiritual gifts or my heightened awareness to help those in need, I would be more than honored to do that.
Yeah, and just so you know, Reginald, I have a friend named Drea, who's one of the most amazing vocalists I've ever heard in my entire life.
I saw her. Yeah, I saw her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Drea
and her and I have this conversation. Yeah, Drea Denner. Her and I have a conversation all the time that artists are healers. So the reason that you have that empathy thing in you, where maybe people who are hurting or sad are naturally drawn to you, you can say things to people in a way that makes them put their guard down and really hear you. All of those qualities that I'm sure you possess are the same type of qualities that artists have to have. As an artist, you're a healer. So your art in and of itself is a manifestation of your healing, your empathy. So as long as you keep creating art, you will continue to heal people. You'll continue to teach people empathy and show empathy. because that's literally why it exists for us.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's great to see like established people like yourself continuing to push and influence and inspire people. Because I personally, for me, I listened to one of your poems and it really reached me. I think it was a poem that was in regards to it was playing along the analogy of like a bridge and stability and resilience.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helped me because I was going through a tough time. It also goes to show, like, just to add to what you're saying, like, we need each other. Like, we're not just agreeing to be healers. Healers need to be healed as well.
And
Yep.
I want to say, actually, as a social worker, we are wounded healers. So almost all the healers, that's why people are healers, because they've felt the wounds, because they've paid that price. And I'd also say that all of the healers are artists, because if people have a healing spirit, a wounded healer is going to have their art. So it might be one of the ones you'd think of, or it might be one that you wouldn't even think of as an art, and yet
Yeah.
people use it for healing.
Yeah, sometimes I go look at the murals painted by Idris Wajid.
Yes.
And I don't know, something about the John Lewis mural, just like it makes me like feel this, like, I don't know if I want to call it motivation or this resolve, So it's
Right.
like, even when he doesn't know that I'm standing in front of that John Lewis mural, it's giving me something, it's fueling me. Right. So I definitely really lean on like public art and, the work that people have already done to
Right.
find that healing when I need it.
Well, I hate to say that we're running out of time in the show, and we've given people some ways to get more involved. So your website is at Jillian Hanesworth at no.
No, my website is www.jillthepoet.com.
Yeah.
jillthepoet.com.
jillthepoet.com.
Jill the Poet.
So jillthepoet.com, people should look, they'll find, they can probably, I'm sure there's something where people can ask you questions about how do I find.
Yep, you can message me, you can subscribe to my monthly newsletter, you can follow my social media.
I think I already did that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I want to, so you each get a chance for a final word here, just for a minute or two. So I will go to you, Jillian, and then Reginald, and then.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just leave by saying, take care of yourself. You're not placed on this earth to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your role is not solely survival. Do your civic duties, vote. A big part of making sure that we're taken care of is making sure that the people we have in office are representing us. So if you don't feel like you're being represented, you got some work to do. So definitely vote, take care of yourself. And yeah, I love Buffalo. I love the east side of Buffalo. Everything I do is for the people. And I'm privileged to be in this position, and I'm going to keep going.
Well, you are amazing. We are just so grateful for all your loving service in truth and love. And Reginald?
Yeah, I'll just keep it short, just to co-sign, like, we should continue to be empathetic to one another and hold space and allow for us to converse, like, our raw emotion without any judgment, because we're all hurting and we need to be heard. So.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so beautifully put. You're so, so right. And it's that sensitivity, that's back to the wounded healer, because we get wounded because of caring so much. And that's what only makes us care more. So anyway, I can't tell you how grateful I am to both of you for what you've shared, for the poems that you've shared, for the time and the thoughts and spirit that you've shared over this last hour. And this is Talking Peace. And together we have been talking peace in truth and love. Well, thank you so much. That was just
Thank
excellent.
you.
Really, really wonderful. I wish we'd even taken a little more time for one more poem or something like that. It's never enough. So people just get your books and, get their opportunities to see you out in the community. That will do.
Yeah, Reginald, I'm dropping my email into the chat.
Oh, yes.
So
I
feel
don't
free
know.
to.
You can see the chat, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Can see.
Good. Because
Feel free to reach out if you're ever like, I
you
I
have
want to
each other's
perform, I need
email.
somewhere to go.
You also have each
Oh.
other's email because of the
Oh,
email
yeah,
I
yeah.
sent. So yeah.
Okay,
So you have them.
cool.
But that's
Yeah, feel
good.
free to reach out anytime.
I knew she'd do that. I told you she'd want, because it's that teaching, mentoring, fostering, so
Yeah,
great.
it's
Yeah.
creating space, right? We got to do it.
Right.
We don't do it, nobody will. So
Yeah. Facts on that.
yeah, so reach out at any time.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's an honor meeting you, honestly.
Thank you.
Well, it's so great. It's so great. I really can't say it enough how great it has been having you both on the show, and very inspiring, very much of a
Thank you.
thrill. And I'm going to be there at the Wakanda Alliance this weekend.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so much fun anyway already. The kids
They're
are
great.
and the people are great, and and beautiful space, everything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled you're going to be there. So that'll be
Thank you.
excellent.
Me too. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, I have to go get my dinner. So it
Of
doesn't
course
burn.
you do. Of course you do. Well, I'm very grateful again to both of you. Thank you so much. And call me anytime, either or both of you, in any kind of way. And the Western New York Peace Center, we're one in the struggle here, So we're going to make it. Okay. Big hugs. Big hugs and love.
All right.
We love
Talk to you soon.
We'll see you. Take care. Thanks to Jillian. Thanks, Reginald. Great job.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you did it. We'll catch you. We'll
All
catch
right.
you soon.
Yeah, catch you later.
Take care.
You too.
Thanks.
Off the air.
Yeah.
Flip the switch.
Oh.